ladies and gentlemen. Now in today's video we're going to be taking our first look at the brand new Anvil farming dungeon on global, also known as the Broken Clock Tower. So you can find this dungeon if you're struggling to find it in Fort Solgris under the special tab, and you're going to notice in the in-game mail today and also approximately every week as well, you're going to get an hourglass, which is the entry to unlock this dungeon for 60 minutes. And bear in mind, as soon as you unlock it, it's going to lock itself until you get another hourglass after 60 minutes. So you've got a very constrained time period in which to jump in and farm this dungeon. So you want to make sure before you even open it, you're very prepared to farm for the next 60 minutes. And you've got your team set up and ready to go. So the first thing you want to do is go into like another dungeon, just kind of like load up your team and make sure you've got the right equipment, but also ideally food as well. Again, attack food is so incredibly valuable in this dungeon. If you get that 14% attack bonus, it's really going to help speed a lot of things up as well. But also depending on your strategy and how you're playing, whether it's auto or manual, again, alt rush food could be better with certain teams and certain scenarios. So again, there's lots of different tactics on the Japanese version, and today we're going to cover a few tactics on the global version. But also one thing to keep in mind as well is you don't immediately need to rush into this dungeon if you don't feel prepared for it. The final phase and the final wave is about 200,000 combat class. You can farm earlier stages, but you do want to make the most out of every single hourglass. So if you don't feel prepared to kind of jump in just yet, and there are characters and resources that you can upgrade and kind of further enhance without the use of this dungeon, do that first. Hang on to your hourglasses and don't feel a need to rush into this dungeon until you're ready to do it, because again, you have a limited time frame and you're only going to get one of these hourglasses every single week. So just keep that in mind as well, just before we do enter today. But anyway, let's unlock it. The first time you do it, there are going to be some easier stages that you can climb up. And again, you can farm any of the stages, but ideally for maximum anvils, you want to farm the biggest stage because that has the most by far. But the stages, I forgot a lot of the earlier ones, man, but the last one is so incredibly annoying. So yeah, here I think we just go for this play and then like double pumpkin bombs as well. Okay, yeah, that's more than enough damage to Lost Vein. So I'm not too sure how many anvils we're going to get out of these smaller chests here in comparison, but also doing some of the easier stages as well. The first time you do them, you get like bonus anvils, which is really, really nice. So the first time you do this, again, it's going to be quite a pleasure to go through. Right, hopefully that's enough. Also, in terms of my gear sets as well, I do have UR gear for Easton. I don't on the Japanese version, however. So I just use my Sariel gear set for her. And then I think I got like Zeldris's gear on Gotha or something like that. But again, I've just moved attack sets in order to maximize. So again, for the first one out of the chest, we got like 3 additional anvils there. So the first one, really not good to auto farm. But again, if you're a super new player and you're desperate to get your hands on anvils, there are other ways to do it. Because again, ideally if you can farm the biggest stage, man, there is a lot more anvils that you can get out of the duration of an hourglass. So if you can like put off farming until you're ready to do the final stage of this, again, it's going to be more beneficial in the longer run, but it's kind of up to you depending on what you feel like you can take and manage. So let's use the attack buff here. Let's go for a Lost Vein Cleave and pumpkin bombs, I think. Again, I don't know the health ranges, but again, stuff is going down so quickly at the moment. I don't think we need to check just yet. And I don't think there are any like massive health buffers in some of the early ones. So yeah, we've got about 6. Oh, actually, there is a health buffer here. So yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. The health buffer, it dissipates after 4 turns, or if you kill the middle one. So it makes some of the stages a fair bit more tanky there. But yeah, it shouldn't be too bad for the first few stages. But again, that buff, you're really, really going to notice it. I think from maybe the next stage or maybe the stage after. It's going to take a couple of turns maybe to get that final phase down. Because in the final phase of the very last stage, they all have, for the first 4 turns, close to about 900,000 hit points. So again, there are some big stages, man. And I think a lot of global players are going to struggle a bit more than Japanese players did with the release of this Anvil Dungeon farming. But also one thing to note is despite the final wave, and I'll reiterate this when we do get to it, despite the final wave being like massively buffed, the grey buffs do disappear after a certain amount of turns, and that amount of turns is 4, I believe. But ideally, you want like a super overpowered character like Losfei Meliodas. This is like probably the easiest farming team, I think, available to global at the moment. There's a really cool team with like the 1 Escanor, and also, oh, dude, that's a little bit annoying actually. Yeah, the 1 Escanor and Festival King on the Japanese version, which I really like. That one's quite fun for manual farming the hardest stage. And it's like you King ult, clear the first wave, and then you Escanor ult the middle one on the final. And it's just like a really quick and easy strategy. Okay, how much health does this lad have here? Okay, about 500,000. Dude, even this one is massive beef here. So yeah, I think I've got to go for this. But again, these massive buffs, they will disappear after 4 turns. So just something to keep in mind as well. Again, if you do go against these opponents and you're like, wow, this is crazy, all you got to do is survive. And again, there's not like, what is it, the craziest amount of damage on some of the earlier ones. But this is why Losfane is so good, because his ultimate's just broken. Especially if you've got him quite high in terms of ult levels. Again, even this one, man, you can see is very, very low on the anvils. You need to get kind of the top one to really get the massive stack of anvils that you can farm. But also, due to first time completing this as well, we are getting some nice anvils for the first completion rewards. So again, I really do not advise farming this and until at least you can do like this stage, but ideally the final one, because again, you cannot do the Anvil Dungeon for the next like 2 and a bit months and save up like the full 10 keys and get kind of your anvils elsewhere and then just go ham on it. And that's probably the best thing to do for a bit more of a progressing account. But I don't know, if you want to go through one run through and, you know, get the completion stuff, if you feel like you can manage each of the stages, then yeah, it's not like it's a nice stack. It's definitely a very, very nice stack. It's just for excessive farming. Again, if you want to burn loads of your entry, then yeah, you probably want to make sure. Oh gosh, okay, we've got about 600,000 here. I kind of need a Losfane ult, man. I'm not really in a position to get one here though. Slightly unfortunate. I think we just go for this for now. So yeah, I'll show off a more tight and efficient strategy when it does come to the final wave, because again, I've kind of just been like chucking around cards so far, hoping stuff would die a little bit quicker. But I forgot how beefy some of the stages are, even like going up to the final one. There's a lot of sauce on them, man. Right, I think you just chuck out that. We could have gone for the upgrade as well, but again, you've got to make quick decisions in this. It's going to be fine with Losfane ult regardless to wipe next turn. But Easton's so good for that buff and just additional cleave damage. So this is just a nice team for powering through stuff very, very quickly. And if you don't have Easton, like a suitable replacement for this formation and setup is actually the green version of Helbram, because you get the same buff, and that's kind of what you need to increase the crit chance, crit damage, and attack off the ultimate, and just make it hit like extra nice. So yeah, that's a really, really good time. But anyway, let's move on to the next. And I think the next one is the final and hardest one there. But you can see that stage is a bit more spicy. Getting like 7 and 5 from the actual chest drops there. But this should be the final one. We still got like 53 minutes left at this point. Right, there we go. I was struggling to find it there for a sec. But first time completion is, yeah, 50... was it 50 anvils there, which is really, really good. So with this, the strategy is you want to have Losfane's ult in the second phase. These things are really, really annoying because they're going to attack disable, which is like a massive pain. So yeah, first turn, upgrade Losfane, and then go for this card and this card as well. If you can get one of them down, again, you're going to help mitigate attack disable. But the first phase... yeah, there's not really like much threat or much to worry about here. And then we want a Lost Vein card. Okay, we got a Lost Vein card. That's fantastic. Okay, nice. We got an upgrade on that, but we've also been attack disabled at the same time, which is not so good. And I think I'm just going to... Yeah, I'm not going to be able to kill here, so I think I'll just go for a merger on Eastern. Maybe I rush the Lost Vein ult a bit too early there, actually. Sometimes if you get an awkward attack disable here, it can slow you down a little bit. But if we go for one of these and one of these, it should be good to cleave down now. Just need Lost Vein to do a bit more. Yeah, it should be fine, man. And then we've got the attack buff for Eastern active. We got several stacks of Gotha's passive here. So the final phase, just to show you as well, man. Again, you've got this buff 3-4 turns here. And it's got about 900,000 hit points there. Very, very tanky. So if you can drop the combo of both of these ults, man, yeah, you're laughing. You're in a great spot here. Again, this does require like a fairly high ult level Lost Vein, and I very much understand that a lot of people playing global like don't have access to kind of this efficiency when it comes to Anvil farming at the moment. So yeah, just to showcase a slightly different strategy, we're going to change it up a little bit now and go for a strategy involving the green version of King. So now we've brought in the green version of King because I think it's a lot more likely OG global players that don't spend as much. I know I can speak from experience on my free-to-play account. Green King's been in so many banners. You know, he's in the Part 1 SSR as well. A very common character. But he's really, really, really good here. So let's go for a merger on King here. And I think we'll chuck this off and go for this as well. But King hits like a truck. I actually don't have a UR set specifically for King. I'm actually using, Lost Veins gear here. But the problem is King is not as good at like cleaving down in the first bit. So yeah, you want to spread out the cards a little bit more on King. And again, he's getting attack disabled here, which is slightly unfortunate at this point. But let's go for, again, you got to do quick plays here. So actually, I think we just upgrade on Eastern. Go for gold, and that should be pretty good. I didn't want to get her ult too early, so I wanted to dump pumpkin bombs as well. Again, a lot of the speed and practice will just come over time, really. Hopefully we don't get attack disabled on King here. Again, that's really good news. So yeah, we just want to use like all of the single target stuff, I think. To be fair, I think this should be good if we use this on Eastern and then chuck this over here and then this over here. Actually, I should have just used it on the same target. And then next phase, we got a few stacks of Green Gotha's passive. And then we got the Eastern buff, we got King's ult, we got Eastern's ult. So yeah, this should turn out pretty good, I think. Let's chuck a King card before as well, because again, King has got some pretty nice damage. I don't think he's going to hit as hard as Lost Vein here, though. But yeah, King's really, really good for auto farming on this stage as well. But you can see a pretty like beefy ult man, especially considering again the previous health balls as well. So it's not going to be quite as fast. And one thing that you can potentially do as well is hold on to the King cards and, you know, get the additional damage bonus off. Because if you nuke into the middle and get this guy down, again, he's got 900,000 hit points. So certainly good luck doing that. But if you can do it, then it removes the buff off these two as well. So that can be a like slightly alternate strategy there. But again, this dungeon is big, man. It's like massive in terms of its hit points. So also let me know in the comments section below if you've been using a team that, you know, drops all of this fairly quickly and consistently. Please do let me know. Again, I'm very curious as to what most global players are going to end up using. Because again, it's just like massive health pools that you got to tear through here. So now let's go for a slightly different setup. So this is actually the strategy that I used to auto farm on the Japanese version. I use Green King left hand side, Lost Vein in the middle, Green Gotha, and also Death Pierce. Because again, you can like play this manually for an hour. But you know, after like the third or fourth time of doing it for an hour, man, it's just very tedious. It gets very boring, very repetitive very quickly. So yeah, this is the auto farming team that I use, and it's pretty damn good actually. So first turn, I think here Ghost is going to go for Pumpkin Bombs, King Card, and Lost Vein Cleave, I think. Because yeah, you don't usually get that merger. But King is so incredibly good for auto farming as well, because most of the time, again, he's going to single target the one in the middle final phase. And then if you can get off, like, Lost Vein Ult or King's Ult, then, yeah, combined with, like, a few additional cards as well, and Gotha's passive, it just makes for, like, pretty quick auto farming. So this is the team that I found best personally for auto farming this. But again, it's kind of up to you how you want to farm this dungeon, like auto or manual. You can definitely get more anvils overall if you do manual farming. But again, if you're doing, like, an hour a week for the next, like, you know, 52 weeks that we've got in the year total, then yeah, it's going to become very tedious and very boring quite quickly. So I think it's kind of gotten to that stage on the Japanese version where like a lot of people are just using auto farming teams for the most part. But again, look at that card, man. King actually, he doesn't have a specific UR gear set. He's just got Sariel's UR gear on. So yeah, he's so good for this. He is like a friggin' truck, man. And again, hopefully there's going to be like a Lost Vein card next turn and a King card at least as well. Okay, there's going to be a Lost Vein card. Still works out fine. So next turn, yeah, Lost Vein Ult after that. But I definitely understand the struggle that a lot of free-to-play and lighter spenders are going to go through with this dungeon. Again, on my free-to-play account, I've got a 1/6 version of Lost Vein Meliodas, and the damage is very different to the 6/6, so it's going to be like a few more turns for me to farm this every single time on my free-to-play. However, one thing that you might want to consider, again, like your hourglasses aren't going anywhere. You do have a limit of 10 as well, and the 1 Escanor banner is going to be coming out at some point in the next 2 months, and you can also get additional copies of Lost Vein Meliodas on that, or you might get super lucky and get enough copies of like Festival King or the 1 Escanor to run that farming strat in this dungeon. But again, I wish I could give you guys like more really quick accessible strategies for this dungeon, but it's really only like the crazy god tier, hard-hitting characters that are going to be the ones you want to bring in for farming in this one. Sariel as well, if you don't have Lost Vein, isn't too bad. But the problem with Sariel is, again, that ult only hits a single target. If you're manual farming, it's not too bad because you can aim it down the middle. The middle has, like, massive damage reduction as well. But Sariel's cleave is pretty good. Like, he's not too bad for this. But again, in comparison, like, Lost Vein is just, like, 3 times better for auto farming and also manual farming when it does come to this as well. But yeah, this is definitely like my favorite team for auto farming. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please do let me know your comments and thoughts on this dungeon and auto farming teams in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy today's video, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. But aside from that, thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day.